Hi, and welcome to the Meet the Candidates 2016 edition of the May 3rd primary. My name is Ronnie Wiley. I'm your host tonight. And we start off in the Commissioner District 2 and the Republican ticket. Zane Bador, did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes.
And Gary Naylor. Zane is the incumbent. And Zane, your opening statement.
I would just like the support of the community as a whole, and thank you for electing me the first time, and I would like to be elected again one more term to serve the citizens of Fayette County and keep doing the job that we're trying. There's a lot of work left to be done, so thank you.
All right, Gary.
My name is Gary Naylor, and I served back in the early 2000s as your commissioner for District 2, served 2 terms. During that time period, we did quite a bit of work on the road structures, as you recall. We paved several miles of roadway. We remodeled the courthouse, brought it up to ADA needs without raising property taxes as well. My wife, Jamie, and I, we live in the Bentonville area. We have 3 sons. Jason, Tom, and Justin. I've spent the biggest part of my adult life serving this community in one way or the other. I've served for 15 years as a volunteer firefighter out at Glenwood. I also served 23 years working for the city of Connersville at the Fayette County First Aid Unit, where I retired as a paramedic. And I've spent the biggest part of my life serving this community. The last 10 years I've been in private sector and continue to be in private sector work. But I felt the need to get back to serving this community. We've invested a lot of time and a lot of effort into this community, and we want to see it prosper once again.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Thank you. Zane, we'll start off with you. Won't you remind everyone again what office you're running for?
I am running for Commissioner District 2 for Fayette County. And I currently hold that seat, and it's the Posey Township area near Bentonville as such. And so.
All right. What do you consider to be the #1 priority face in the office today?
I think the #1 priority for Fayette County, there are many things for Fayette County that we still need to work on. I think a lot of things is our infrastructure. We have to work on that again, roads, bridges. We have some things out there we have to take care of. Fayette County financially is not in the greatest shape, and we for the last 3 years and 4 months it's been every year of a money crunch and trying to make things work and trying not to be overexpending and work with the county council as much as we can. And I think a lot of things that we face as far as a community is we come together and we try to make things better, and we need a lot more jobs. That's a big thing, and you know, people, they hear things on the horizon and it doesn't really come to fruition, and it doesn't happen, and it gets discouraging. And I'd like to ask the people of Fayette County, just hold your chin up high, because no matter how many bad things that you think you hear about this community, you know, it's always negative. This is a great community, the people who live in this community, and very proud of what they do. And building up the community as a whole, if we all work together and go in the same direction, including the city and the county working together as not 2 separate entities, and I'm not talking about, what's the word I'm looking for, Unigov, that's not what I'm saying. Yeah. What I'm saying is both county and city work together and try to meet each other in the same direction, instead of we're doing this, and we've actually bridged that gap. We actually now have meetings with the city and the county together with the mayor. We've already done that once, and we try to come up with some really positive notes and help the city out as much as we can. You know, we're working on some big projects, things that are coming up. You know, you hear a lot of things about, and I'm asking the community, don't get discouraged. You know, you hear things about jobs, just there's never a guarantee, but we do need that here because people in this community need to be back to work. And you said the number one thing, and I'm going everywhere with this. There's so many things, you know. We have an addiction problem in Fayette County, and we've tried to address that, and we've tried to talk to people and you know, meet the needs of the people who are addicted, and meet the families and try to help out as much as we can, and still come together. And it's not just Fayette County, it's everywhere in the United States. And if we start fixing the way we do business as a community, we'll prosper, and as long as we're trying to go in the same direction as much as possible. And you know, and I was in the room talking to somebody, and I said, you know, the number one thing is right now is money. I mean, if that was number one on the list, but everything else is a short second and third, sure. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So if we don't have the funds to run the government and make it work, it starts to not work as well. And the government, which I mean is the county highway garage, you know, the sheriff's department, the courthouse and everything, those are all entities for public service for the people of this community. And it needs to function and be here for the citizens of this community, and you know, be there and listen when people have complaints and have problems. So I'd like to be your commissioner for, you know, again. There's still a lot of things I want to do. You know, when I first got in here, I was going to do everything. I was going to change everything. And as Gary can probably tell you, as being a former commissioner, that's not always the way this works. You find out real fast that it takes a while to build up speed, and some things you go at it 100 miles an hour and you're like, I'm going to get this done, and you find out you can't, because either A, you know, you have other people that have to make a decision, because it would be a dictatorship if I could make all the decisions.
Right.
So and I like the system. Sometimes I don't get what I think is good for the community. And that's okay. We just try another angle, or something works different, or somebody comes up with a better idea. You know, and sometimes one person doesn't have all the ideas, so you need to listen. So I appreciate the community's time, and thank you for having us here today, and thanks for talking to us.
All right. Thank you very much, Gary. I'll pose the same question to you. What do you consider to be the number one priority facing your office?
I think there's, as Zane said, there's several points, but I think our economy has to be a number one. We have to look at, I think we need to look at our taxation and our assessed evaluations. We have probably some unevenness in our evaluations of our assessments. We have tax-exempt properties that we need to address and look at and see if they still qualify as tax-exempt properties. The only way that we can save our community in taxes is to make sure that our assessed values are where they need to be, where they're, and we need to increase that assessed valuation, and we do that by bringing new properties to the community. We have a project up in the northwest corner of the county now that could possibly bring increased assessment to our county, and in turn will help us as taxpayers to maintain our tax dollars paid to the community. At the very least, could possibly see a lower taxes. We have several properties throughout the county, like properties, that maybe are being assessed a little differently. And I think we need to look at that. We need to work with the assessor's office and try to go through those properties and make sure that each person, each landowner, is being assessed correctly and equally as their property deems it equal. And as a chief executive officer of the county, one of the three, it's our role as commissioner to run the employees and manage the employees of the county, I think it's important that we analyze our employee count. I know in the past few years we've had to cut back on employees because of the money situation, and I wouldn't wish that on any executive officer. That's a tough thing to do, and I think we're going to have to continue to be faced with those problems. You know, can we afford all these employees? Or do we need to put some of those employees back to work? Because if we're not getting county government work done, and it's being shoved off to the corner and not being completed, then we're letting down the taxpayers. So we need to analyze those employees, make sure that the ones that have been cut are truly where we need to make cuts. And maybe we need to analyze and rehire some of those people and increase those office holders' help if necessary. I think our economic development, we've been on a course of spending our economic development dollars for 20 plus years on a particular plan and a direction. I'm concerned that hasn't really worked for our community. And I think we need to sit down and analyze where those dollars are being spent and what kind of plan. Maybe we need to redirect that money to a different plan. We worked my last tenure as commissioner to improve quality of life issues for our community. I think it's important that we have several jobs that surround our county. Yeah, they're not in Fayette County, but there are several jobs available in our surrounding counties. But we have to encourage our kids and young adults and young people to come back to Connersville and to live in Connersville at the very least. I honestly believe that if those people are encouraged to come to Connersville and live in Connersville or remain in Connersville, that those good paying jobs and those companies will come to this area. And in order to get those people to live here, we've got to have the quality of life issues that they require, they request, they need. And I think we need to spend a lot more time on quality of life issues here in the county as well. I truly want to be your commissioner again for District 2, and I would appreciate all of your votes and support.
Thank you. Zane, final comments.
I would like to thank you today, and I'd like to thank Gary for coming. Some of what you said is very true. The children of this community are our future, and if they move away, and we've said this in the past, if they leave and they don't come back, the community as a whole suffers. So putting jobs into place for people to come back, and they go to college and they come back here, you know, there has to be the infrastructure, the jobs in place for them to come back to and have the ability to make a decent wage. And don't count us out, because Fayette County's, you know, is always great and going to be greater in the future. I truly believe that, and I think positivity is everything for the community. And I didn't in the beginning, so I'll say it now. I'm not a lifelong resident of Fayette County. I moved here 16 years ago, and I love this community. You know, as far as I feel like I've been here my whole life. And I serve on the Glenwood Fire Department now, and I enjoy that as well. And I enjoy serving the community as much as possible. And because my children are 8 and 12 years old, and I don't want them to move to, you know, another state when they get older. I want them to, you know, come back and hang around so I can see my grandkids, and that's my life goal is to help not only my children but everyone else's children and grandchildren out there, to try to make it a better community every single day, because you can always get better no matter how, you know, you work at it. And I think that we're going in the right direction, and some people, the 20-year issue with the EDG. There's a lot of things on the horizon that you hear about, and you say, well, I heard about it, but then it doesn't happen, and I know that's discouraging to the community. But we have a lot of challenges in this community when we sit down with a company and try to talk them into coming here and staying here and being here, because they don't just look at it for what's in it for them in a lot of cases. You know, I've been told by several people that they'll come to this community in jeans and a t-shirt and sit at a local coffee shop, and you don't even know they're here, and they're just watching the community to see how this community is, how it thrives, what it does. And they base a lot of that on how we live our lives around here, and they read the local newspapers and they keep up to date with the news, and you know, they make the decision to go elsewhere sometimes. And I don't have the answer because I'm not the EDG guy. You know, but I want to help that entity in Fayette County keep prosper and do as much as we can. I think it will work. You know, a lot of people say, well, we need jobs, we need jobs, we need jobs, and I don't disagree with that. We do need jobs here. But we're not holding them at the city limits. We talk to them. We lay out the red carpet, and in a lot of cases the answer is no. They get a better deal elsewhere, and so on and so forth. And I think if we keep moving as a community, as a city and a county as a whole, and the people of this community hold their head up high, great things are in the future of this county. They really are. It's just going to take one step at a time. As in, when somebody once told me, you know, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And we have a big problem, but we're working at it little by little. But I'd like your vote for Fayette County Commissioner District 2 for Zane Bedore, and I appreciate your time and the county's time to take the time to watch and listen.
Zane, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Gary.
Ronnie, I would like to thank you. I'd like to thank Channel 3 for having us tonight. And I have been a lifelong resident of this community. I've served this community all of my adult life, except for the last 10 years or so, where I've worked in private agriculture over in Rush County. My wife, Jamie, and I, we have grandkids here. We have kids still here in the county. We are dedicated to staying here in the community. And as I said earlier, I've chosen to get back into serving our community, as I've done in the past. Zane is at an advantage to me because he is currently the commissioner. He knows a lot of the behind the scene, so to speak, issues that are going on, and he's at a great advantage to me. However, my experience as a city employee, my past experience as commissioner, if elected, I can hit the ground running because I know the county budgets, and I know the responsibilities of the commissioner, and I truly believe that if we continue a path to building life issues, working with our parks and recreation, we look at avenues to encourage these kids to stay, to come back, stay, the younger kids, adults, to come to Connersville and live. We will, in fact, bring businesses to here through that as well. I think it's a twofold situation. I think you have to continue to work on companies to bring them here, but at the same time, you've got to work on people to come here and live and serve and this community. And I want to make that a priority if I'm elected, to continue to work on those two things. And if elected, I do promise you that the community will have a voice in our local government. and I thank you.
Thank you very much, Zane. Gary, thank you very much. We'll be back
Thanks, Gary.
with the Democratic side of Commissioner District 2.